My story began when I was 4 years old, sitting in a kindergarten Sunday school class in a Baptist church. And that's where I learned about Jesus and his unconditional love, especially for his children. I was fortunate that I had a strong foundation from that Baptist church. But when I was in mid-elementary school, my parents left the church, and they didn't go back to any church. Therefore, I learned as a child that the ultimate authority in my life was my parents. And as an adult, I became the ultimate authority. So when I graduated from college, I got a job, I had an apartment, I was an independent woman, I had a boyfriend who I thought at that time might become a husband. I had it all. I had made it, met my life goals. But what was next? And then those lessons from Sunday school started percolating, and I realized that what was missing in my life was Jesus. Jesus was next. So I went looking for him, and I found him in a Presbyterian church where I proclaimed my faith publicly in an adult baptism. But I wasn't able to surrender all. I had been my own authority for so long, I had to retain part of that. I couldn't give it up. And I struggled with that for years. And it wasn't until I faced a crisis that I finally did learn how to surrender all. And that crisis began when my son at age 23 was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Well, he went through chemo, radiation, and the cancer went into remission. But at age 27, it came back. And the cancer did not seem to be responding to any treatment that was available at that time. And for the first time in my life, I realized, oh my goodness, we might have to face a possibility that we're going to lose our son. It was devastating. I was overwhelmed, numb, dazed. I couldn't function right. And there was one moment where I actually sank to my knees in my family room floor and put my hands together and put them on the seat of the sofa to pray. And I couldn't. All I could come up with was, oh God, please help us. And he did. He gave me the strength to stand up. He gave me the strength to put one foot in front of the other and move forward. Shortly thereafter, our family was presented with a controversial treatment called a stem cell transplant. Now, what they do in this is that they take healthy stem cells and they infuse them into the bone marrow of the patient. And those healthy stem cells will proceed to destroy not only the cancer cells, but all of the cells of the patient, including his DNA. And it replaces it with healthy stem cells and a new DNA. And you can imagine all the risks that were involved in that procedure. So much so, it concerned my son really so much that he actually came to me one day and said, Mom, I don't know if I want to go through with this procedure because there's so many things that can go wrong. I just might end up in a bed waiting to die, and I don't want that to happen. Well, after I reminded him if he did nothing, the cancer was going to grow to a point where it was a guarantee he would be in bed waiting to die anyway. So he took that into consideration, and he went back to think about it some more. And then he decided, yes, he'd go through with the procedure. So the night before the stem cell transplant, I'm watching TV with him in his hospital room. And at 10 o'clock, I got up and got ready to go. And I said, BJ, I got to go. Dad and I will be here in the morning. And before I left, he goes, Mom, would you rub my back and sing to me the way you did when I was little? And I did. And as I'm singing, this feeling began to develop in my core, and it spread throughout my body, and it was a feeling of peace and contentment. And then it radiated throughout my body and filled the hospital room. And the feeling for me was so intense, it was like there was a third presence with us in that room. So I finished my song. I reached down and kissed my son on the forehead, and I started for the door. And as I got to the door, that feeling communicated to me, Mom, go home. Get a good night's sleep. I've got this. And I realized as I walked down that hospital corridor, it didn't matter what the outcome of the next day's procedure was going to be. Our son was going to be okay because I was leaving him in the arms of the Holy Spirit. That was truly the moment when I not only surrendered all, but my personal transformation as a Christian began, and my son's life was reborn. My son is now 42, happily married. He and his wife fought cancer with him a third time, is in remission, and with the help of Jesus, they have been able to battle their own hurdles in their lives and overcome them, to the point where my son now has tattooed on his forearm, "All things are possible with God." What a joy. Since I've surrendered all, I've seen many miracles occur in my life, starting with my son's life. But then my relationship with my husband has never been better since we put Jesus first. We sit down and talk with my son and his wife at dinner, and at some point during that conversation, Jesus will appear as part of the conversation, either as how he's affected our life or how he has enabled us to affect the lives of someone else. It led us here to LPC, and it continued my faith walk with Jesus. And all of you, whether you realize or not, have played a part in that faith walk, for which I am eternally grateful. I thank God every day for being here and for his blessings. And I thank you for this opportunity for me to share my story. God bless you all.